I think it doubles down on what you're describing in terms of investing in the customer, and that the partner themselves are your customer. The differentiator being that they're directly additive in terms of creating more value for your end customer, the person at the end of the kind of life cycle in that sense. The other thing I'm thinking about while you were saying that is this idea of, we've talked about like better together and people that kind of make those expressions all the time. I had somebody the other day ask me, it was a leader of a SaaS business in the email space. And so she said, like, all right, so we build this partner program and then we have to go and hire people to build all this stuff from scratch. She kept talking about like building from scratch, right? And her partner, the COO, kept talking about the opposite, being like, no, we can use what we have. Like, we've got these things in place right now that our direct team uses. So how much in your experience are those early days, and even, I shouldn't even say early, are those days when you're building the program and you're building your first dynamics and even perhaps later on down the road as you expand the program, how much of what you've already done for your business are you just giving to these partners openly versus trying to curate and cultivate a much more hyper-specific version of it to lend to the way that a partner may, have nuance or whatever it might be?
Wow. I guess the way I would think about that is in terms of, because we're talking about SaaS, right? So if we're talking about SaaS, then we're talking about how do we scale that? How do we scale this? Because if you can't scale it, then it kind of defeats the purpose of SaaS, right?
Yep.
You can't grow with that type of hockey stick growth that SaaS businesses want, right? That exponential. So I think my approach is always going to be, is what we're doing something that can be scalable? And if not, that's okay by itself. But then what's the commitment from our perspective? What's the company's commitment to our partners? Could we do this with 100 partners? Okay, but can we do this with 500 partners? Could we do that with 1,000 partners? And could we do that with 5,000 partners? And so on. And so I think you have to have that in mind with anything that you're offering that isn't scalable. The flip to that is, if you can offer something that is a value add for the agency, but is also going to be scalable at some point, like, for example, templates, right? If you're in, let's say, whether it's email marketing or online forms, or just like two that come up, or marketing automation, certainly another, almost every SaaS business out there is going to have X number of templates to make it easier for the agency to build a campaign, to create whatever it is that they're creating. So if you can offer a value-added service without, I think that's good, but you have to have a way of measuring what the results are going to be from that. So if you're offering something like mocking up some kind of a creative thing, and we're doing that now, for example, we have to understand, so if we're at 100 or 500 or 1,000, what's that look like? And is that sustainable? And right now the answer is, yeah, we think it's pretty sustainable because it's not a heavy lift for us to do that. And it's a huge value add because nobody else is doing that. So that's kind of, it's still early, but I've kind of put my feet in the sand here and said, no, we're going to do that. And we're going to kind of focus on this as a value add. But if you can also scale that and you can create some sort of scaling to that, whether it's, like I said, templates or something like that, then yeah, I think all the more reason why you would try to create that value add. But I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think it's going to come down to being able to create something that's of value in addition to the service offering, something that nobody else is doing, something that the agency says, wow, this is unique, and this is helping us grow our business. We are having an impact and success in part because of that one extra thing that you guys do for us.
Yeah, so that differentiator sounds like it's really important. And then double clicking on the specificity of it ideally being scalable. And if it's not scalable, then being conscious of the fact that it's not. So framing it into, yeah, it's our first 100 partners. We have let's say it's a 2-year runway on those first 100 partners. We're very early. We know that we can do unscalable things early. David Cancel, who was at HubSpot at one point and started Drift, and he said a bunch of really awesome things. I've heard stories of him saying something to the effect of, do unscalable things early. That showed up in my conversations throughout my career. And I'm thinking about that while you're talking about it now. Do the things that are, have that partner manager, sell the partner, manage the partner, reach out and support the partner, be a part of the sales process, the service delivery, whatever it might be, because it makes sense to do so from a capacity perspective. But I'm also hearing, and I want to talk about this next, I'm hearing that there's a personal touch to it. And I've had conversations around personal touch versus not, certainly, and that, the partnerships is a H to H dynamic, human to human business, right? But I think there's something really valuable about this piece you're describing in terms of tangible value, with tactical content and things that you're doing that elevate the way that partner engages with you. So, we've talked about how to make them more productive. How do we get them more excited about you? You said differentiator, right? You versus other vendors they may be working with. So are there things that you've done or seen in your career where, coming into those partner relationships early or otherwise, I think it's sort of timeline irrelevant, that allow you to differentiate? And you don't have to give away trade secrets, but I'm just thinking about, is it the white glove touch? Is it, everything is free, take it all? Is there something that you've seen in your experience that's been really beneficial to building that value, that trust?
It's funny you say the white glove touch, because I was at a startup years ago as a consultant, and we offered a white glove treatment, and we literally called it, we're going to do a white glove treatment for you for XYZ. And it was hugely successful, because I think the notion, kind of to your point, that personal touch.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any secrets here. If you're going to be successful especially in the agency world, you better have partner success drilled into everybody's DNA, because partner success is ultimately the metrics that are going to dictate whether or not you're successful. So what do those metrics look like? Well, one metric that hardly gets talked about is partner support. Whether it's technical support or otherwise, what does that look like? And how good is that? I was at a big brand years ago, Constant Contact, thousands and thousands of agency partners in our ecosystem. We had terrific partner support. There was a hotline that our partners could call, not just Monday through Friday, but I believe it was 6 days a week, and it was more than just 9 to 5. And they could call and they could get somebody live on the phone to help them with a problem, because their clients, their businesses were still running, right? They were running 24/7, and the agency was working in some cases 24/7.
Sure.
So the value proposition that we provided to our agencies in the form of partner support was next level. Nobody had that. At that point in time, nobody had the kind of partner support we had. It was the best in the industry.
Yeah, the support thing is important. It's a really good call out, because there's so many different dynamics in the way that you work with an agency, and so much of it's personal. So much of it is, to your point, you're in the trenches, you're doing the work together. It's a very human-based business, as I described, but also I think it's about solving problems, right? And software is not perfect. We want it to work every time, but there's bugs. To your point earlier, it's an API issue. It's a actual software bug. But it's also that individual that needs support with something very tactical, very simple and straightforward. And the ability to pick up the phone or send a chat or whatever it is, whatever interface, and get a person on the other line that listens and hears. Same thing at HubSpot. We have the Academy, certainly, which is out there in the world, but we have a partner-specific phone number that they can dial into, that they can get somebody who understands the partner dynamic and can provide support with that context in mind. It makes a big difference.
It does. And for us, I think back to some of those experiences, what was so powerful was the support team that supported the partners were typically higher tiered level support agents who had been on the direct side. So they had already worked directly with customers. So they already had the customer piece down. And now they were learning and getting really good at working with partners. So they could teach and train the partner, obviously, because that part is part of scaling, right? The more you teach and the more you enable the partner to be successful on their own, then the less they need your support. But notwithstanding, they were able to provide such a high level of support. I mean, that was, quite frankly, it was one of the things that we were most known for. It was one of the, it was top 3 things that you would talk about in any call if you were, speaking to somebody who was considering joining the program, it's like, yeah, our support is second to none. There's nobody has better support than us. And especially in the agency space, because as you know, HubSpot, you guys have a lot of great agencies, in your ecosystem. They don't work 9 to 5.
They do not. They certainly do not.
They might be playing golf from 9 to 5, but then they're working from 5 p.m. until midnight. And
Yep.
They're working Saturdays and Sundays, and the ability to be able to support that and understand that is critical, I think, to the success of any program.
Yeah, it's meeting them where they are. That's an awesome point to end on. This has been a great conversation, Richard. I really appreciate the time, the context, the background. If folks want to connect with you on the internet, out in the world, where do they find you?
Probably the easiest is on LinkedIn.
Great. Brilliant.
So
okay.
I post regularly. So I'm an active, I guess, poster / networker. I'm on LinkedIn every day.
Brilliant. All right. So go find you on LinkedIn. Again, great conversation today. I appreciate the chat. This has been fun, and I look forward to having you back again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.